right, we're going to be taking some notes today about perfect squares. So if you will go ahead and title your notes Perfect Squares. And this is for assignment number 3, okay? So first of all, let's talk about what I mean by squaring a number, okay? If you had 4 to the second power, now you have this bigger number that's written bigger. This is going to be called your base. And then this smaller number is going to be called your exponent. And you could say this as 4 to the second power, or you could say it as 4 squared, okay? And we're going to be focusing on just numbers that have an exponent of 2 today. So squaring a number, 4 squared. And what this means is if you do 4 squared, you're really doing 4 times 4, which equals 16. Now, I know that most of you know how to do that already, so that shouldn't be any new information. However, instead of squaring a number, we are now going to work on taking the square root of a number. And today we're going to focus on taking the square root of perfect squares. So for instance, if you take the square root of 16, this symbol here, it looks a lot like a division symbol, but it's not a division symbol at all, okay? This symbol is for when you take a square root. Technically, it's called a radical sign. I know that's kind of a weird name. I'm not really sure why they named it that. But a radical sign is for when you are taking the square root of a number. So whenever you see a radical sign, you should be thinking, what number can I multiply times itself to get 16? What number can I multiply by itself to get 16? And the answer is 4. I know that 4 times 4 is 16. So notice that the answer here is not 4 to the second power. If it was just a plain old 16, again, if I just had 16 without that radical sign, that would be 4 to the second power, 4 squared. But the square root of 16 is this whole number 4 without any exponent at all. So what I want us to do is, this is a 16 is considered a perfect square. I want to make a list of 25 perfect squares, and this is going to go into your notebook, okay? So in your notebook, we're going to again do 25 perfect squares. So write a 1 equals the square root of what number equals 1? 1. I know that 1 times 1 is 1. So let's do 2. 2 equals the square root of what equals 2? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 3. 3 times 3 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 4. 4 times 4 is 16. We just talked about that one. Square root of 16 is 4. 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So the square root of 25 is 5. 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Once again, you should be writing these down in your notebook. 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 9. 9 times 9 is 81. 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 11. 11 times 11 is 121. 12. 12 times 12 is 144. This is about where most of you, you have memorized, most of you, your math facts for up to 12. So it's once we get to 13, and again, we're doing up to 25 today, that's where it gets a little bit harder for people. So you could always do in a calculator 13 times 13 I have my list here in front of me, even though I do have most of these memorized. So 13 times 13 is 169. 14, if we do 14 times 14, we get 196. 15, if I do 15 times 15, I get 225. 16 times 16 is 256. 17 times 17 is 289. 18 times 18 is 324. 19 times 19 is 361. 20 times 20 is 400. We are doing 5 more. 21 times 21 is 441. 22 times 22 is 484. 23 times 23 is 529. 24 times 24 is 576. And 25 times 25 is 625. So again, we want to make sure that we have these first 25 perfect squares written in your notebook. So again, the perfect squares are what is actually inside of the radical sign. So the 441, 484, 529, etc. So make sure that you have all of these perfect squares. These perfect squares here. These 5 perfect squares. Most people have these pretty much memorized, but you want to make sure that you have them written down. And these 5 perfect squares. So you can use your notes now as a resource to be able to complete your assignment number 3. So again, this will help you with your assignment number 3 for quarter 2.